All right, so this past weekend was really interesting. And I want to tell you a little bit about it because it's relevant and it could be relevant to you. And it turns into something that's a bit of an offer in a way. So when I started teaching when I was, 16 years old, my first class was a class of something like 9 or 10 students. And I was, number one, super excited about teaching this class. I was elated. I got sick with worry about it. I literally had like a cold from the following days of the class because of my whatever stress, anxiety, excitement, all of that in one. But it was a positive experience. I remember it very, very fondly, and it was a good thing. And what happened was, from that point onward, my classes started getting larger and larger, and they would fill up quickly. I didn't promote them. I didn't share about them with anyone. They would just start to fill up. And I developed apparently some sort of a reputation in this world of teaching faces and teaching carving faces because those classes did fill up. And it was a huge blessing, and that became a big part of my career as a teenager and growing up and going into my 20s. But what happened was, as the classes started to increase in size, I felt more and more stretched, more and more stressed, and the students, in a way, seemed to be less satisfied with their projects leaving. At least it felt that way. They didn't always leave with this sense of, I got everything that I needed to get. And so I started to work the opposite direction during COVID, right? Of course, I did the online stuff, and I'm doing the online stuff. It's the way that I learned to carve, is through watching people online through videos, which is why I started the online school. But when I did in-person stuff, I was limiting my workshops to like 9 students. And I've been continuing to do that, reduce the size of the class until this past weekend. And this class was not reduced out of some bright idea, out of anything other than necessity. This space is small. It's a sunroom-sized building, and it's plenty of space for a small class, but no more than, say, 4 or 5 students. And so I limited the class to 3 students as an experiment to see how it would work here for 3 days, as a way of kind of decompressing, a way of getting people out of their environment. The goal was to make it relaxing. The goal was to make it a getaway for people and to make it highly educational, right? So really get into the weeds about structure of the face, various methods of approaching the structures and symmetry, and then of course most of it is the real nitty-gritty part of carving, which is the actual roughing in, the shaping, the carving part. And that first day, so much knowledge in that first day this past weekend that I felt there was almost like a weight to the room. And it was like, people felt like, oh man, this is going to be a real class. Like, not just a getaway, it's going to be a real class. And then day 2 comes around, and folks are starting to get a sense of how I'm applying those principles and how we can kind of loosen the reins on the rigor or structure of our faces and sort of design as we go. And folks began to do something really interesting, which was the goal, which was to relax and to have fun and to be social with one another. I mean, in this particular class, we had folks from all over the continent. We had folks from the far west of the United States over at San Fran, from Boston, Mass on the far eastern side, and then from the north, we had a Canadian from Alberta, and they brought all of their kind of personality, and it was just so interesting for me and fun, and these people left with a sense of camaraderie. I'm pretty sure a couple of them hung out afterwards because they had an extra day planned here in Michigan, and it was like a friendship in a weird way that we all developed with one another. And that was the unintended goal of this workshop, if I can say it, because I didn't know that we would be friendly with one another to the extent that we were at the end. But that class size, that intimacy, there's a bit of risk on both sides. A person driving or flying from a distance away. One guy drove 12 hours. The others flew in excess of 4, 5, 6 hours to get here. And that was a commitment. And then on my part, to say to those people, I'm going to give you something worth your time, was huge. It weighed on me very heavily. I was very anxious for this class, more than any other class I've ever taught, except that first class, because it felt like these people are going to be in my space. These people are going to be, you know, I'm representing myself here. Like, this is about the environment that I've created. I built this place from the ground up, right? Like, this is in and of itself a piece of my handiwork with the help of many others. But the idea is to bring them into this space, and that is a little bit threatening. I didn't notice that. I didn't know it would be that way, at least. That's what I mean to say. So that was really an interesting experience, but it was awesome. And so it was an experiment that proved that if I invite people into my space, into my studio, they, you know, for one, smaller class sizes, and two, the ability to really focus in on the stuff that matters makes for a much better class than those bigger group classes in terms of absorbing information, having real camaraderie with each other. And it was a great experience. I mean, everyone left with a real satisfaction of feeling like they grew and they learned. And yeah, we kind of like gained some friends in the same thing all at once. So yeah, that's happening again, April 12th through the 14th. So check that out in the description below if you want to be a part of it. And I really think you're going to love this class. I think you're going to learn a ton, and it is chock full of information. And don't come unless you're willing and ready for that. There'll be all the tools, the materials, drawing stuff, all that will be provided for you. Just bring yourself and be prepared for 3 days, right? That's that. All right, guys, enjoy it, and I hope that you come to enjoy it. See ya.